Hey everyone, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel and DC. Check out our sponsor, Into the AM for soft shirts. But today I'm going to get right to it. James Gunn has finally announced the future of the DC universe. Now, we were reading the article, which we were going to do a video on, when he made a video where he's going to explain everything in his own words. So I thought it'd be fun to react to that live. All right, so this is located on his Twitter if you want to find it. If any of them says the word stop so we can discuss a point, we're going to hit stop, okay? All right, guys, so here's the video. Let's get into this.
Hey, everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity. Now, Peter and I have been pretty lucky in terms.
Want to comment on that? I mean, he's clearly, I do find it funny. Like, I get Matt Reeves, I get the Joker, but I thought Teen Titans Go was over at this point. So I love that that's the third example.
As I understand, it's like one of the most popular shows on Cartoon Network. So I imagine they're like, no, that show costs nothing to make. It makes nothing but money. Let's just keep going.
Well, I agree, because I mean, I've actually watched some episodes. It is a kid's show. It's not. We're nowhere near its demographic. Like,
right. But two things. One, same people across movies, cartoons, and video games.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting decision, because we just got two games that are, well, one came out, one's coming out.
Yeah. But 2025, I think, is like the year of, that's when they're really going to be explaining and showing you their future. And the other thing is, use of the Elseworlds logo and label, I should say, is great. Like, calling it Elseworlds, it means something else. It is theming and labeling. It works great. Good idea. Keep going.
You know what we could get from that, Sal? You know what we could get? What if they sold the Snyderverse to Netflix and put it as Elseworlds? One of us had to say it because the comments are going to. God. But anyway.
No. There's the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love, that resets the entire DC universe. Then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film.
Okay, so hold on. I want to comment there. He is confirming that resets everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, we knew that, I feel, but I like the confirmation finally.
Yeah, well, we've never had a true confirmation. Just everyone was like, Flashpoint resets everything. That's why you're calling it Flashpoint.
Yeah. Right. But now it's called The Flash. Like, it's not called Flashpoint anymore. So
is it? Okay.
Yeah. But it was called Flashpoint at one point or another. So it's like, no, but this is a good idea where they're like, this is a starting and ending point. We're resetting. Yeah. The only problem with that is the announcement of Paradise Lost, but we'll talk about that later.
Right. Well, that one and also the next two movies.
Aquaman 3.
Yeah, so let's see what he says.
About a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming. This first chapter is called Gods and Monsters. Now, what I'm about to tell you is...
I like that.
It's a cool, I like that idea, but that's also an entire separate
own thing in another universe.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Gods and Monsters was Bruce Timm's attempt to bring back a new version of the DC universe. There was a vampire Batman.
Yep.
And I don't remember the rest of them. What was the other?
Bearded Superman. And it was a whole thing. But I love the idea of labeling these eras. Like, Marvel goes, where is phase 65?
Yeah.
DC's like, no, this is chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. We're doing this. And that's great considering what's coming up. But
right. And because we went over this in the articles, we do know what he's going to say, but I want to hear it from his words.
Yeah,
totally. Because he's already worded things better than the article was.
I like it because it instantly separates them from Marvel. You don't have to worry about the phase of both of them. Like, they're distinctively separating themselves. I like that.
I think they wanted that, though. They didn't want you to be like DC phase 1, Marvel phase 1. But no, it's DC Gods and Monsters versus Marvel phase 1. Like, that's how we're going to have to word it. So
is a part of the first chapter. It's not the entire first chapter. The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action.
Okay.
The next project up is Waller. This is a story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Nice. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry, who did Watchmen, and Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay, next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU. This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it, and Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025.
I want to go back to that real quick.
Yeah.
That's All-Star Superman, isn't it?
Yes, and he was photographed on Twitter like reading All-Star Superman, so I think he's taking some inspiration from the Morrison book. That's a great idea, although, of course, All-Star Superman is technically like one of the last Superman stories before Superman 1 million and so forth. But like, I think there's a lot to be gleaned and co-opted from All-Star Superman. It's a good idea. And I think that's the feel they want.
Right. Hey, everyone. Dan probably cut out the intro. Hassan just woke up and decided to join us.
Hello.
And so did his cat. So he's going to join us for his opinions as well moving forward. Here we go.
11th, 2025. Okay, the next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other Lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
Okay, hold on. I got to comment on that.
Okay.
That's Earth 2 art, isn't it?
That's Earth 1.
Earth 1, yeah, but that other book line.
Yes.
And that's also, the concept is what Grant Morrison did in his Green Lanterns run.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting take, but it also grounds the Green Lanterns a little bit more than being the bombastic space fair. You're basically starting at, I can barely make anything.
Right.
It's a great way to save on CG, though.
That's what I was saying. It's a really good idea because if it does well in its first season, then you pump up the money and you show out the special effects next season.
Yeah.
And then you give it a movie. So
Sal, you'll know this. Isn't it in Earth 1, John Stewart's the first Lantern, and he recruits Hal Jordan? I'm pretty sure that's how it goes down.
No. Hal's the first. He's not the first Green Lantern ever, but Earth 1 is Hal's story.
Right, but I thought John Stewart was already a Lantern in that universe.
I don't remember.
It's been a while. It came out like a long time ago. Yeah. Okay. I might be wrong. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure John Stewart was the first one. But like I said, it might be wrong. It's a great book if you've ever read it.
Yeah.
Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is a story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros, but with all of the inhabitants of Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line. And so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU.
Oh.
Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series.
Nice.
Okay, so hold on. Let's talk about Batman and Robin, the choice of Damian.
Love it.
hate it.
Like,
Yep.
okay,
You hate it or love it,
you're a
Tom?
Dick Grayson fanboy. That doesn't count.
No, I like showing out like the Bat family for what it is, like a family that lasts a while and not jumping to the last one.
What I like about this though is that leaves us a Nightwing movie, a Red Hood
Right.
movie, a Batgirl
That's what I'm crossing my
movie, a
fingers.
Tim
And it
Drake
was his
movie.
comment. It's the comment where he says, "That's the start of our Bat family." I hope he's meaning that like this is the first film that's going to have these characters in it. Not that is where that's my jumping off point where it's Batman and his son. It's a father.
I don't think we're moving to I think what they're doing is like, okay, well, if Matt Reeves' Batman is the beginning of Batman, what if we tell the story of the end of Batman where he's got his son, so we have all that middle ground that we can touch on now. Nightwing, Red Hood, Batgirl, all that stuff can come out, you know? But they already exist, so we just tell stories in those eras instead of... That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think starting with Damian is the best idea because, first off, Damian got introduced a long time ago, and we're still getting plenty of stories with all the different Bat family members. It's not like this goes, hey, you can't do anything with any of these characters. And while I do see the point of wanting to build the Bat family, I think this is the smarter way to go because we've seen that planning for the future does not always work out. And I think this gives them the most possibility for stories because nothing says you can't do a flashback show or movie or anything like that. This is simply going, hey, we're giving you everyone right out of the gate. We can show you the really cool things to make you interested and then go, hey, you guys enjoyed Red Hood. Here's the Jason Todd origin movie.
Right. And I can imagine them really having fun with the Jason Todd origin and like going for it, being like, okay, I'm going to show you Joker killing Robin now.
Yeah. And what I also like about this is it's going to be a clear way to differentiate which Batman is which. Because if we have an early Batman doing detective work, and then we just have Batman being Batman with Damian, and they're doing like Batman and Robin stuff, you'll
unmistakable.
Yeah, you know it'll be different, and it also finally shows the differing sides of Batman.
Right.
Like we don't need to always be like, oh no, he's got to be Dark Knight, and he's got to be the Batman, and he's got to
pick up with him being Family Man, which is like the take that I think lots of people have enjoyed far more over the last several years.
Yeah.
And then Booster Gold. I just like the idea of Booster Gold finally getting something.
Great idea for the show.
Fantastic. You already have Jaime Reyes in the universe. This is a great jumping off point. So,
one of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way. So she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about.
Well, let's talk about Supergirl because I saw Sal go, woo!
Woo! I love Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It's it's a perfect comic book, and you should be buying it. So and buy it so you know like what to expect. It's beautiful.
All right, I'm ordering it now. Quit yelling at me.
I like the way he phrased it of we're turning this book into a movie. Not we're doing an adaptation, we're using this as inspiration, that he straight up said we're turning this book into the movie.
This book is going to be a movie. Like, good. Like, do it.
Yeah, because it was very well done, and like I always hate when we hear we're basing this off of this story, because then you get the hype for this story and you get let down by their interpretation.
Well, if do like visual motifs, they'll make it like a panel for panel recreation of one or two things, and then it'll be an entirely different story.
Isn't that what I've been saying though? Like they need to just start taking the stories. They're successful for a reason. And everything he said here, we're doing Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin. We're doing Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I like The Authority with Wildstorm. If it's being pulled right out of a story, he seems to be naming the one story. They're not going, this is an amalgamation of Hush and Killing Joke and
right, like Brave and the Bold is not a Batman comic book. It's not even a Batman story, and yet they're like, we're using Brave and the Bold. And we're using the Batman and Son. Like, we could have easily called it Batman and Son, but we're not. So it's like, it's going to be a bunch of different ideas all at once. Whereas, like, Supergirl One of Tomorrow is like, we're taking the comic book, and we're making a script out of it, and we're making it into a film. End of story. Like Swamp Thing, which is coming up next. Like, they just said Swamp Thing. They didn't go, like, Alan Moore's Epic. They were just like...
you know what I want to see? Because we're going to talk about it in a minute, but he doesn't say it based on the article, but I want to see Rot World. I want to see...
That's what I was thinking, too.
Could you imagine they do Swamp Thing, and if Swamp Thing does well, we then get Animal Man. And then we get Rot World.
I would be so down for that.
Talk about a very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories.
Good idea.
Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that the director's vision and the vision of the writers and all of the creators is unique and something special. Storytelling is always king. That's all that matters to us. And I want to be true to those stories. I want to be true to you guys and really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me. And I can't wait to start to dive into these stories with you guys on this grand adventure. Thank you so much.
Yay.
You're welcome, James.
All right, overall thoughts.
Yay.
It's a real vision.
The
Yeah.
way he said that made me confident.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the fact that he sounded like he truly, or sorry, they truly have like the full plan over there. The confidence in everything he said makes
Yeah.
me very hopeful for what's going on, and none of it was just well, we're doing stuff with Batman, but then we're also going to do stuff with Swamp Thing.
Yeah, no,
Enjoy.
he had like a plan in place, and I really like that idea of what he's doing. I wish he would have hinted at something involving the Gods and Monsters phase, how it's going to end. Like we're building to.
Glad he didn't.
I think that in this case they're like, I mean, we can see where they got the name from, right? Like, and that's the case across the board, and it's one of those things that I really appreciate is that like all the iconography and the labeling that they're using is from the comic book publisher,
Right.
Like Elseworlds, Brave and the Bold, like Gods and Monsters, like they're taking from everything, comic books, video games, cartoons, and labeling it such. Like Gods and Monsters, I get it. Superman, obviously related with gods, monsters, Swamp Thing, like Amanda Waller, monster, gods, like Batman. You know, like the Gods and Monsters phase is like a great name that also you understand immediately when you look at what the phase is full of.
Right.
Yeah.
So like there's theming and there's labeling, but also there's coherency and cogency, and it's like, oh, that's rare. Way to do it. Like cool, love it.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
adding
agree
things
that
to the
I'm-
schedule right now.
I agree that I think it's a good idea that they're not telling us where they're trying to end up because Superman comes out July 11th, 2025. That's
Yeah.
2 years from now, and it's the first big movie that they have slated. So,
So 2024 is going to be dry, is what I'm hearing.
yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be barren wasteland, and Marvel, you better hit it out of the goddamn park in Ant-Man in 2 weeks. That way we have some stuff to talk about for the next 2 years.
I mean, and DC's got 4 movies coming out. They're just all coming out this year.
Right. Yeah, we're getting Shazam, Flash, Blue
Aquaman.
Beetle,
I'm
Aquaman.
excited about Flash and Blue Beetle, yes.
I'm a little surprised, and maybe they still will, but that they don't spread them out to kind of survive 2023 and 2024 instead of having a dry
Right?
spell.
I think maybe they want like a palette. They want you to like have been excited talking about those movies and stuff, and then like go, oh my god, but 2025 though, that'll be our.
That could be. Yeah, give us a
Right.
year of nothing so that we come back like Superman.
Exactly.
This
Get
gives
that
them time to-
hype and desire built up for everyone that they're just like, okay, we've been waiting for this so long. Basically like the hype towards Endgame. I know not the same hype, but that kind of feeling of we want this to come out right now. We've seen what has come in. We know what's coming.
Oh,
Just give
Joker
it to
2 is
us.
middle of next year, but that's
By the
there's
way,
labeling that
would
for
you-
Elseworlds. So.
There's a quote from Peter Safran about Batgirl. Would you like us to share that?
Oh yeah, what is
Oh, yeah.
Batgirl was, quote, not releasable. I think that David Zaslav and the team made a very bold and courageous decision to cancel it because it would have hurt DC.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is
I
some that
Fully
is some
believe.
fire.
What was wrong? I wish they would just say. I mean, they can't.
I bet it
they-
just sucked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
I
gonna
bet it
shit
was
on
an
everything.
awful film.
I think
Like-
it probably was too forced. Like it was
Right.
more of a, we've got the characters, let's make something, instead of, we've got a plan, let's work on this plan. It was,
Yeah.
right?
People are going to cry about that and be very upset about it, but at the end of the day, it's like those characters are free to be used again. Brendan Fraser, if he wants to come back to something, you think after his Oscar run, they're not going to pull him into a DC project? Or
Right.
Leslie Grace, if she was actually even remotely decent in the role, the people who are in charge have seen the movie. We know
Yeah.
for a fact James Gunn and Peter Safran actually watched this movie, even though it was canceled by those above them, before them.
Right.
So I think that should be as clear as daylight. We should be able to put it to bed. It's not a great thing to do creatively. You should never make a film start
far
to
along.
finish with a cast, and waste their time and waste their lives essentially and cancel it.
Right.
But we should also stop releasing pieces of trash that are irredeemably awful, because DC's done enough of that in the last decade.
I just pictured how that went down. Like David Zaslav and all of them are sitting around and they're, all right, so this is gonna be our next. We just bought this studio for billions of dollars so that we can get some DC products out there and take control of the DC franchise. So this is what's coming up. This right here, right? This is what's coming out. They just watch it. What the fuck is that?
Can it not?
And those
How
same
fast
directors,
can we write this off?
it's crazy. The directors did like Miss Marvel episodes this year that were decent. That were like some of the better episodes of that show. And it's like,
we also don't know how much studio hands were in before David Zaslav and everybody. Like, you don't know who. Like, we had a lot of weird stuff going on. So
that's fair. That's fair. It's really, really exciting to hear some, like, that's Kevin Feige style. He came out, he gave some announcements, he stood at the camera, he looked us directly in the eye, and for once, it isn't the DC, AT&T, WB, HBO Max, bubble, stupid, ridiculous shareholders meeting that we're mining to find information where it's like, our plans are super in the superhero sense. It's like, what the hell does that even mean? It's a guy saying, we're making a bunch of niche movies because I'm a niche weird guy, and they'll probably become wildly popular in the same way that Marvel is.
Yeah, but he also named
movies.
He also named two core characters, Batman and Superman, in this Gods and Monsters phase. Which at the listing of movies,
and the
that's
Wonder
probably
Woman.
like 2 years. That's probably like
Wonder
2025 and 2026.
Yeah.
Like, he announced the full Trinity.
And that's just so weird
No,
to me.
Wonder Woman wasn't announced. She's not in that, I don't think.
But it's still
but
her
it is in the Wonder Woman
mythos.
universe.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the
And
DCEU.
Supergirl. Wait, hold on. Can we acknowledge Supergirl's finally getting another shot at a movie after that terrible last one in the 80s? So you probably don't know this, Hudson. The Supergirl movie is the original one in the 80s, was supposed to be women empowerment for the Superman side, right? It is labeled as being so bad that it killed female leads in movies for 20 years. That's not even a joke. It did so poorly. The studio labeled it as, because we put a woman in the lead of the movie, we can't trust anyone else to do that. So for 20 years, that's why you never had a solo female-led movie from WB, because they deemed that movie killed female leading movies from that company.
Wow.
The thing that's really funny to me is, like, they just made a movie with Supergirl. It's called Flash.
Yep. That's what I was thinking. It's not, maybe not an interpretation of Supergirl that I'm even really interested in, but they did do it.
What if they use that actress again? Because she looks really good in that role.
We'll see.
You don't think so?
I'll pass on that. I don't need any more of the I guess if I'd love to see her in a new suit. I'm so tied to her announcement video where they're like, hey, you're playing. It was a beautiful video too, but he holds up this ugly, disgusting suit. Her suit is awful in that film. It is not Supergirl in the sense, like, Supergirl has a really iconic look, in my opinion. Both, you know, if you go Justice League Unlimited, like the white T-shirt to eventually the blue, like reminiscent of Superman in the skirt, and then on Supergirl, the TV show, they eventually gave her pants, and all three of her suits really iconic, really, really visually stunning. And then there's Sasha, I think Kai's suit, and it's Man of Steel's disgusting drab alien wear instead of like the bright blue. So
I want to comment something real quick because the chat's like, oh, but they did it until till Catwoman. The Supergirl movie that killed female-led movies at WB came out in 1984. The Catwoman movie came out in 2004. It was 20 years.
Oh my God! Who played
and then
Supergirl
that one
in
didn't
that?
do well either. And if you noticed, after Catwoman, we didn't get another female-led movie from WB again. It's like they were still like, oh man, we tried again. Oh,
See
well.
you in 20 years.
Women suck. Let's try it again in 20 years.
This is the movie with Helen Slater.
Yeah.
That's the man, that sucks because she gets to come back very regularly as like in Supergirl stories because she's Supergirl's mom in Superman and Lois. He's Clark Kent's mom in Smallville. She gets to play so many characters, and she's from this
that
awful
movie had a
film.
budget of $35 million and it only made $14 million.
Oh God!
That was technically in the Christopher Reeve universe.
Yeah, that was their attempt to spin off the Christopher, and it just that killed it. It's over.
But to go off of the that Supergirl is going to be in the Flash movie, I think Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is the perfect Supergirl movie to go after a universe reset, because it's probably in comics the best one that I know of that is so different from the rest that it'll make it very, very clear this isn't the same. Don't even connect the two. Like, you're not going to even wonder, oh, she's on Earth. Does any of this? No, she's somewhere completely different. New
there
universe.
are no other appearances. Like, in that book, there are no other appearances by any other DC characters that you would recognize. So it's like, you could very much be like, if the movie tanks, it's an Elseworlds movie. If it does well, it's not. If it does well, but we want it to be Elseworlds, like, then it is. You know, like, it allows itself to be a lot of different things and still work on its own.
I do love the idea that they're doing this Elseworlds possibility, because it does allow us to continue things. Like, I can tell you right now, like, I made the joke about the Snyder fans. They are going to be like, let's just bring back the Snyderverse as well then. You allowed this. But this does allow us to not always, because I think that's one of the problems with the MCU. Okay? I love the MCU. This is not me trying to, like, bash on it. But you can feel sometimes that things need to be connected. Not everything like, I argue that a lot of stuff I want to be connected, they lightly do it. But you okay there, Hassan? Your monitor's attacking you. But the fact is that in the MCU, everything needs to be. We don't get what if stuff other than one show.
Right.
So DC's leaving it open to be like, look, if it doesn't fit with the universe, but it'll fit for a great movie, that is still a possibility.
That's true.
So,
And that's crazy that they're getting this pitch in the year 2023, because holy crap, has that not been the thesis of the comics since day one? Or not day one, but you know what I'm talking about. At least the last 2 decades. Last 2 decades of anything that I've ever read. And I'm a lot softer of a comic book fan than you guys are. But everything I've read has always been inspired by the fact that the multiverse exists and that we can tell such radically different stories and have them feed into each other. The first mainstream DC property, I would say, like, aggressively mainstream that I know, like, everyone I knew was playing or talking about, was Injustice Gods Among Us, which was a multiverse game. It was a game about another Justice League, the tried and true bright blue coming into a Snyderian dystopian and fighting a Superman there. It was done really well, and that's a multiversal story. We're familiar with the idea, and Spider-Man beat DC to the box office doing a multiversal story. So, like, I think Sal and I, or maybe it was you and me, Benny, that we talked about having that Elseworlds opening, having like a color distinction or something to make it clear this is the part of this movie is part of this and this movie is part of that, and separating it. I can't believe they're doing it, not because it's not the best idea possible, but because it's them. They've never even tried to do something this smart.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is, this will allow anything, like, okay, Gotham Knights in Justice League kills the Suicide Squad. Now there's no question of, are they going to wrap them into the movies eventually somehow? No, it's just Elseworld stories. We can still do Elseworld stories.
That's true.
I'm curious, because you mentioned Teen Titans Go. This is bugging me. Is that even still going?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still airing?
Mm-hmm. It's voice
No,
cast
I know
still
it
has
will
work.
forever be going. I'm talking like new seasons, but yeah, they're going to have season 8.
They're still doing new seasons. They've gotten a lot more. It's less of like, first it was a parody of the original show. Now it's a parody of the world. It's like Mad TV, but they're using Teen Titans characters. It's fun. It's a lot more fun than it was in its start.
This show has gone 52 episodes every year since 2013.
Yes.
That's 10 years.
It only skipped the COVID year in 2017. And I hate you guys. I say the COVID year. There's always one guy that's like, COVID's not over, buddy. No shit. But there's only one year you think of when I say COVID year.
You know what I'm talking about.
You know the year where none of us were allowed to leave our houses?
The Teen Titans Go replaced Young Justice in Cartoon Network. That's its first season. Its first season was as a replacement for Young Justice. So just keep that in mind, that it managed to be far more successful in every single way than my favorite show.
Because it's also Cartoon Network. The Young
Yeah.
Justice
Well, now it's
audience
not.
is outaged that because everything around it is way too young. That's why Teen Titans
We
Go
outaged
worked.
it. Here's the thing. It was crazy because, you know, I was a kid watching Young Justice on Cartoon Network. Teen Titans Go aired the following year, and nobody that was watching Young Justice at the time was the right age for that show. It was immediately like, oh, by the way, the rest of you guys, you don't get to watch stuff anymore. Move on. There's anime on Toonami. Go watch some of that. This is for the kiddos. Teen Titans Go. And then they parodied Young Justice in their first season and made fun of how serious it was.
I liked when they did a Teen Titans Go Zack Snyder universe. Why is everyone so gritty and muscled?
It was so good. That's so incredible. And like the animation is genuinely beautiful. Yeah, if something's got to stay, I'm fine with it being Teen Titans Go. It's entertaining. So.
But anyway, I'm excited for this. I mean, like I said, as an old Snyderverse fan, I'm a little sad it's over, but I am happy that we have. I'm just happy we finally have an announcement and a direction. Like we are doing this, guys. Hey, here's what's going on. No more guessing. No more pushing movies back endlessly. We have a direction and a goal. We are moving because ever since 2016's Justice League, there has been no rhyme or reason to anything going on in the DC universe. And they had we got mad that the MCU decided to take 2 years to vaguely build towards Kang the Conqueror.
Right.
DC's been doing that for 8 years, 7 years now, just vaguely doing nothing. Yeah. Nothing at all. The only thing we built up to is James Gunn has bugs that can tap into your mind. That's all we've got.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was the whole plot. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just excited we're finally doing something with it.
This is a win. This is a win. No matter whether you're a fan of the niche shit James Gunn just announced, because a lot of it, other than Batman, Superman, Supergirl, Swamp Thing, a lot of that was much smaller. And it's I'm not particularly, I don't really know who these characters are. I don't care. You bet your ass in about, 5-6 years when all that stuff is done airing, those are going to be household names. Those are going to be things that are massively successful, wildly popular in the same way that nobody gave a crap about that 90s show, Tin Can Boy Iron Man. That suit looks terrible. And then Marvel came out and made it a superstar thing. So I'm so excited someone's in charge now.
Right.
So, all right. Final thoughts, Sal?
Yeah, it sounds exciting. I mean, are they, I think that, those who are cynical might be like, that's it? A Batman.
I mean, he announced a lot, though.
A bunch of random crap. Because it's hard to get excited about, a cartoon about a bunch of people nobody knows about, or a Supergirl movie that nobody read the book for. And, I get that, but I'm also excited because it means that there are big projects and there are smaller projects, but they're all valid. And so I think that's a smart idea. I think if Swamp Thing is going to be a straight up horror movie and they make it $80 million, it's you're going to make some bank. Yeah. And you're going to create a new cottage industry that Marvel's going to have to play catch up on. Because you could make a Howard the Duck movie for less than $200 million, and it would be fun. It doesn't need to make $1 billion. You don't need to make $1 billion every time just to have a studio. Is my point.
I wonder if James Gunn's pitch on all of these obscure projects was, okay, guys, you do realize that if we stop spending $300 million a movie, we don't need to make $1 billion. If we say spend $80 million, 400 Black Adam. If Black Adam was made for $80 million,
right,
$400 million would be we made it. It's a
we
success.
Exactly.
But because they made it for 200 plus marketing, everyone's 400 million is a failure. You didn't succeed.
Yeah, you didn't break even. So I'm hyped. I think it's a good direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing it really crystallize. Because that's the thing. Right now, it's all abstract. Yeah. There are no actors. There's no costumes. There's no art outside of the books they're based off of. The Authority is the one I'm here you go. There's this. I think the Authority is the Snyder Bro olive branch. Where they're gonna go,
I can see that.
Oh, I don't like the Justice League. I like the Authority. It's yes, that's right. That's right. You never liked Superman. You just like Omni-Man, but want him to be as iconic.
Yeah.
So, Dan, since everyone's kind of gave their thoughts, and I'm assuming you're going to agree, how about we do this? Which one are you excited for?
See, that's not what I wanted to say, though.
Oh, then say what you want to say.
I wanted to say that
I was covering your ass.
I know. You got to let me talk, Benny. No, the thing
Dan,
that I'm really excited. The thing that I'm really excited about is that if you think about everything that he mentioned, we've got Earth superhero without powers. We've got superheroes on Earth with powers. We've got superpowers out in space. We've got monsters within nature. We've got a mysterious mythological. We've basically covering every single aspect with the perfect people to start it, to start planting seeds in these different areas. We've got Swamp Thing so that we can then expand into the green, the red, the blue, the gray. We've got the Wonder Woman where you can go from, I would not be surprised if they have in Wonder Woman, they go to the other tribes like the Escasitas and like the other Amazonian tribes across the world. We got like the Green Lanterns starting off on Earth to base who they are, then they'll go into space. Like, I just love that he is starting off with really strong aspects. We've even got future. Like, we've got time travel in this new universe right out of the gate. And I'm just so excited that we are adventuring into every single aspect right out of the gate, as well as everything. I'm a big fan of everything that is already announced and happening, that he's like, okay, don't even think or hypothesize if this is in the main stuff. It's its own thing.
Yeah.
Shut up. Pay attention to this. Like,
Yeah.
My only question at this point is because he says The Flash is the reboot,
Yeah.
but he didn't say what Aquaman and Blue Beetle are.
Yeah.
It comes before. Didn't he say it comes before?
No, he didn't. He just left it vague. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I wonder how they're going to handle that, basically.
Right, I assume, like, look, if they want to keep Momoa under contract before he becomes Lobo or whatever, which they didn't talk about, then maybe they'll be like, Aquaman 3, Elseworlds.
Yeah. Maybe.
yeah. Nothing says you can't continue those, because I'm betting the Robert Pattinson Batman films will probably
Will be.
continue in Elseworlds as well.
Oh yeah.
no
Well,
doubt.
now they're just dubbing it Part 2. It'll probably, honestly, because I don't think Robert Pattinson was initially coming back, just like Joaquin Phoenix wasn't coming back.
Right.
But I think it's like, look, we just won't guarantee a third one, but if this does as well, we'll throw a lot of money at him. So problem solved.
Yeah.
I was
There's
watching a
also-
thing about Taken, and Taken 3 only happened because they gave the budget for the movie was like 40 million, and they gave 20 of it to Liam Neeson.
Oh my God.
That's the only reason they did it. Taken 3.
That makes sense. That movie sucks.
I mean, he's the only reason people watched it. So
Yeah. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know your opinions down below in the comments. We are absolutely Marvel and DC. Check out our sponsors. Into the AM, use the code comics. Into the AM, use the code absolutely, or go to GamerSubs and use the code comics at checkout. And we will be here with more videos very soon.